You know how like social is a bottomless bucket and like it's just a 24-hour algorithm cycle and you have to keep filling it?
Mhm.
Google's the exact opposite. It takes longer to get in Google's good graces, but once you do, it's harder to lose and you can garner traffic for years off of a well-written post. And you get to meet your ideal client when they're ready to meet you because when they type the query into Google, then they are connected to you through Google for free. And so Google's just a matchmaker and he will matchmake the single piece of content that you created 2 years ago that is stellar and drives to your email list and leads into a funnel that drives to a paid program that you offer. You don't have to lift a finger except for that first heavy lift.
Welcome back to another episode of the Captain Coder podcast. I am so excited to have on my guest today, Lauren Gaggioli. And I have to do the Italian. You guys, if you're just listening to this and you're not watching it on YouTube, you didn't just see that. Um, but you need the Italian hand gesture. We were just
Yes.
talking about that. Awesome. So Lauren, tell everybody about yourself. What do you do?
So,
Like,
first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here to talk about my very favorite subject in the whole wide world, which is search engine optimization, which is a weird sentence to say, but
I
is
know. It was like
100% true.
we are giant nerds. Like, we were
Yes.
both very excited to talk about SEO.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, I have been in the SEO space sort of for myself with an online business first. And that's where I cut my teeth and like learned by kind of playing in the sandbox of my own business and
Mhm.
growing that and building organic traffic because as a bootstrapping entrepreneur, I just really didn't have the budget for huge ad spends and like rolling the dice on um, whether or not it would work out. So
Right.
I made a switch and decided to court Uncle Google. And we are now real good friends. And I now help other entrepreneurs figure it out. So it's my absolute favorite thing to do because it's a strategy that I talk about it. SEO is self-care for yourself and your business. It's both.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Explain it.
So
I get it, but explain that thought a little bit deeper.
yeah. So, you know how like social is a bottomless bucket and like it's just a 24-hour algorithm cycle and you have to keep filling it?
Mhm.
Google's the exact opposite. It takes longer to get in Google's good graces, but once you do, it's harder to lose and you can garner traffic for years off of a well-written post. And you get to meet your ideal client when they're ready to meet you because when they type the query into Google, then they are connected to you through Google for free. And so Google's just a matchmaker and he will matchmake the single piece of content that you created 2 years ago that is stellar and drives to your email list and leads into a funnel that drives to a paid program that you offer. You don't have to lift a finger except for that first heavy lift. But it does take time, and I think
Yeah.
we're all, like, allergic to, slow
Patience.
reactions. Yeah, patience is not our thing. So, it's the kind of thing where, like, I really I'm so passionate about helping entrepreneurs figure out how to be in it for the long haul. Um, I recently read somewhere that, like, I think it was 5% of online businesses last beyond the first 5 years and are
Wow.
considered successful, and only 3% of web pages on the internet are actually sent any traffic from Google, and 1.5% of that is they get 10 hits of organic traffic or less. So, there's a lot of opportunity here, folks. Like, if there's a lot
Right.
of opportunity, if you understand the strategies, you can make it work for you.
Right. I mean, so would you say that SEO should be a priority in your business, especially if you're trying to grow online?
1,000%. 1,000%. There is literally no other strategy I know of that you can see before you create content whether or not somebody's looking for it. Like
Right.
virality, forget it. Like that's a function of like in the social sphere, That's a function of like the right people seeing it at the right time. The entire premise of social is to keep you on their platform. And so even if you go viral, you might not see any like flow through to your revenue, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day with a LinkedIn expert, and she literally mentioned LinkedIn doesn't want you taking people off their site.
No,
Like,
no.
she flat out said it. So, like, you can't a lot of these social platforms you cannot use to drive traffic to
Yes.
your website or to your sales pages, your landing pages, like, they're not built for that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's all Google does. Like, Google
Mhm.
needs you. He needs the content creators. Zuckerberg needs us too, but he's not paying us for it, right? Where Google can literally put cash in your pocket. And so
Yeah.
SEO as its own like, just drive traffic. Traffic is a vanity metric, but if we can connect traffic to revenue and think not just the technical SEO side, how do we speak to Google's bots, but how do we also speak to humans? Welcome them to our digital doorstep and say thank you for being here. Can I help you with something? And really come to it with empathy and creativity. It actually allows you to kind of kill two birds with one stone. And the upshot for everybody is that the people who need your services are going to find them right when they need them. And you will also see a bump to your revenue. So
Yeah, yeah, I
that's
mean, because I mean,
the whole point,
when
right?
the whole point, yeah, because when you think about it, when you're on Google, you're not window shopping. You're looking for an answer to your solution,
Yes. Yes,
whereas
absolutely.
Facebook, Instagram ads, all of those things, organic content, they're putting it in front of everybody's face, and they may remember you, they may save your post, but they're not necessarily ready to buy.
Yeah, yeah. You know, your website is your digital storefront, right? That is like paying rent on, Main Street, right? And you wanna think about how you set up your website to be as warm and inviting as that shop front on Main Street. You wanna be really clear about who you're trying to welcome in, and the other beautiful thing is that you don't have to do everything right to still see it impact the world and expand your reach, and, of course, always build your business as well.
Yeah, yeah, so what do you think a lot of people misunderstand about SEO? Because we've talked about how it can take a little bit longer, how it does take some work even on your own website to welcome them into that storefront. What do you think a lot of people think that they just don't make a priority out of this?
So I think there's sort of 2 phases of opting out, right? Some people hear SEO, it sounds super technical, they're like, "Never mind," right? And they walk away. And it's like they just don't even engage. And I think for those folks, it's a sense that it's gonna be scary and overwhelming, um, too technical for them to execute, or, uh, they just don't have the patience. They're like, "I need the quick hit of cash, and so I'm gonna go to social and just keep pouring in there." Um, so I think there's that. There's also a sense of like it might impact your creativity, right? If I start
Mhm.
layering strategy, then I'm no longer me. I don't have my voice. I have to do what they say and write like a robot. And that's
Right.
absolutely not true. If you really want to succeed, one of the things Google is looking at is the behavior metrics of people who come to your site. So if you are actually more engaging than those other folks out there who are writing dry content generated by AI and it's just like soulless, it's
Filled with keywords, but
yes.
nothing, no meaning.
Yes. Yeah, where those words just start to lose meaning. You're like, what am I even reading anymore? So if you can avoid that and bring your personality to it, you shine. And if people then continue to engage with you in particular ways, Google can see that and you'll be bumped. You'll be elevated even more. So the more creative you can be, actually the better off you are if you have the strategy of SEO over the top so you can even be found to begin with. Then
Right.
there's a second drop off. So some people are like, okay, I'm going to kind of try it. I'm going to like lean in and do a couple of things. And those stats I said where like most of the web pages on the internet are not being found. Some people don't know that they're starting to see traffic or that they are making headway because they bounce from that strategy too soon. And
Mm.
so when I had my kids, I was breastfeeding them, and there's this thing called the smile effect. So, like, in the first 2 weeks, you're weighing your baby all the time. We use the kitchen scale. Like,
Yeah,
you're, like, weighing them in
making
ounces.
sure that they haven't, like, dropped too much weight and everything,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So, if you think about, like, babies lose weight once they're born, so it goes down, but then, you bottom out and then you start going up. There's a thing that can happen if you're plotting linear points where you could be beyond that bottoming out point, but your trajectory is still downward on a
Mhm,
linear line. It still looks like you're declining or like you're holding flat. But what's actually happening is that all the engine underneath that's starting to churn is starting to lift up. And so a lot of people, they think it's not working, and so they bail, but if you bail too soon, you don't know that it actually was working. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's really important if you choose to do SEO, you could write one blog post or create one page a month. If you can commit to that with a solid strategy, you give me 12 months and I can help you hockey stick it, because it is about that longevity. It's about showing Google that there's a person behind this site. It's not
mhm.
just a glut of content, it's well thought out. And then if you put the strategies behind it to capture folks, then you are able to build your email list, do all those things we know as entrepreneurs are like really important. Email list, nurture sequence, all of those things hook into this and are part of it. But if you don't have people coming through the door and your list isn't growing, it's because nobody's finding your stuff. So you
Right,
gotta,
you're
like, roll
basically
out the welcome mat.
behind everything, and
Yeah.
you're like me who has the go away welcome mat literally at your front door, right?
We don't want any, goodbye.
Yeah, like, my Amazon drivers always glance at it and giggle, like,
I love that.
I can see them on the camera. But I mean, that's the thing, without
That's
doing anything for
exactly right.
SEO, that's quite literally what you're doing is you're not inviting people in, you're quite literally pushing them away from you.
Yes.
So
Yes,
how
and
long would you say that people need to, like, mentally prepare for SEO to take effect?
I say if you have a brand new site, like you've just done your magic and built them a brand new site that
Mhm.
runs well, is properly structured, has all the back end churning, you've connected to Google Search Console, you've connected
Which
to
is
Bing
so easy.
Webmaster. It's really like, don't run away. They make it
So
sound all
easy.
like highbrow. It's like literally type in your web address. It's so simple. And do
Yeah.
that first, and then you can just auto populate Bing by logging in and connecting it to your Google Search Console. It's not hard. Like, running a business is so much harder than connecting to Google Search Console. But once you have that, if you have a fresh out of the box domain, like this is its first instance, it's never run before, it's going to take a little time because Google wants to see your expertise, your authority, and your trustworthiness, the EAT. And what that
Mhm.
relies upon is getting backlinks from other credible websites and generating quality, fresh content. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I say 12 to 18 months. I will tell you, I've had really good luck with some websites where, like, if you come out with a strategy, you pop because Google crawls you. It's like, what is this? And they go, oh,
Mhm.
this person actually knows what they're doing. Then you can sometimes, like, within 6 months, start to see some traffic come in. Um, but for an established site, so 12 to 18 months for a brand new site, 6 to 12 months for a site that is already established. If we start working all the channels at the same time, we can sort of pull the levers and you can start to see an uptick. And I will tell you that growth is exponential. So celebrate every person who comes through the door. I have a post about books that help you live your purpose, because I have a
Mhm.
course about purpose. And I think I started getting traffic like last September. I got like 10 people. Yay.
Yeah.
This January, I have 400 already who have come to that blog post that
Yeah,
is
so
connected to
it
affiliate links and whatnot.
compounds,
Yeah.
that's the thing, it just compounds over time, whereas if your reel tends to drop off after I've seen mine now about 72 hours, I'll still
Oh,
get
good.
people liking them a couple days later, and I think it's usually my followers, not not cold leads,
Yeah, yeah.
but, like, you have such a short lifespan on social media, but with a good blog article, I mean, that can pay you off dividends for well over a year.
Yeah. Oh,
I
absolutely.
I have a client whose some of their highest trafficked pages are articles they wrote in 2016.
Wow.
Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be brand new, fresh. Like, to me, that's the beauty of SEO is, yes, it takes time, but it can work for so long.
Yes. 100%. I will tell you, on my first website, it was a test prep website. So if anybody's listening to this, they're like, well, but my niche is too crowded. Like I won't stand out. There's too many big players. The people who provide ACT and SAT. It's the
Mhm,
Kaplans, the Princeton Reviews, the Revolution Preps, Khan Academy. Like you have huge, heavy hitters, content creation, marketing departments behind them. Even so, I was able to drive 16,000 new users per month to my website, to various pages on my website. And I was able to do that for like 3 years running. And I stopped creating content about a year and a half in because I had my daughter
mhm.
and I just didn't have the bandwidth. So that paid me. That paid me five to $15,000 a month ultimately because I had built the engine and it
Yeah.
just required the new people when they needed me, finding me at the right moment and connecting and following through and buying the courses. So it's
Oh,
totally
man.
doable.
That's so amazing. Now let's talk a little bit about how you can do this for yourself.
Yes.
Because what most people hear when they think about SEO, they hear people talking about keywords and key phrases.
Yeah.
So, and I know when I've talked to clients too, and I just had this discussion with a client yesterday. Your keywords are a little broad. Like you can't,
Yeah.
you're not going to rank for a one word. Like it's just never gonna
Oh,
happen. Like,
yeah.
and like it makes sense that that would be a key
Yeah.
part of their planning, but like you ain't gonna wait for that. And so how do people like? Where would you tell them like where do they start? Like, how does this even work?
So if you've ever felt like you were screaming into the void of the internet and nobody was listening, I will
I think
tell you how
all
you
of us,
find the people.
I think all of us have felt that at some point.
Of course, of course. Here's the thing. If you've ever wondered, like, what are people asking for? Like, once I get in front of people, they tell me they can't believe what I do. They're so excited to meet me. How do I find more of those people when they
Mhm.
need me? If you've ever wondered that, I'm going to introduce you to a very funny URL that you are going to love. It's called Ahrefs. So ahrefs.com. And they have a keyword generator. So if you type into Google Ahrefs keyword generator,
Yeah, which just a
you,
side note, in code, that is quite literally the A and then href is the link is code for a link.
yeah,
So it makes sense when you know code, when you know HTML.
totally. Yes. Every web developer I talk with, they're like, wait, I know that in a different context. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I
It's like
know,
it
because
does
they're
it
cheeky.
throws me off too. It's like, oh, that's clever.
Yeah. So this is a free SEO tool and it is where I do my keyword research. I have a paid account, but you can get up to 10 keywords at a time for free. So what you can do is find out exactly what people are typing into Google when they need what you do. The exact phrases. And I like to think about this from the buyer's journey. There's sort of two ways that keywords work, two primary ones for that I focus on. There's informational intent, which means
Mhm.
for me, somebody types in, what is organic marketing? What is SEO?
Yeah,
Right?
they're
These are
trying to
the
learn
questions they're
something.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just want information. They're not necessarily showing up with a credit card in hand. However, if they search organic marketing course, SEO course, that's a transactional intent. That's something with value they know they're going to have to buy. So you want to think into channels when you're doing keyword research because how you approach somebody who comes to you and says, "Hey, what is it you do?" And you slip into your sales pitch, you know how
Mhm.
that goes down like a lead balloon, right?
Yeah. When you connect with somebody on LinkedIn and they immediately pitch you,
Yes,
Feels like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if someone asks me, what is organic marketing? I might explain and then say, and also, I have a free DIY website audit. If you want to see where you're starting from, I have a 3-part mini course. It's totally free. You just sign up here. Someone's more inclined to do that as opposed to me saying, you wanted to know what organic marketing is. Have I convinced you that organic marketing is amazing? Buy my course.
Yeah.
So thinking about the user who's typing in the queries is going to help you determine how to approach them and how to welcome them into what I call your ecosystem, your digital ecosystem. That's your email, your social, your whatever. But it all starts at the website. Now, if somebody does have a transactional query, if you can rank for those terms,
Mhm.
you can get your sales pages to rank and then by all means sell away. That
Right,
person's
because 'cause
looking
they're
for your
looking for it.
product. Yes. So like
Yeah.
I have an online mastermind for entrepreneurs. It is a drop-in solution, so it's not like an ongoing like forever kind of thing that you can get roped into. So that is starting to rank because I found the keywords that were lower competition. So when you do keyword research, what you're going to find, you have the query, you have the word or words.
Mhm.
Words are ideal. Let's go
Yeah,
for
we're not
phrases.
we're not gonna try to rank for cookie, for instance.
No. No, we're not. Yeah, get more dialed in, get more specific, be more specific to how you serve. And when you find those terms, you're going to see two numbers attached. When you go into Ahrefs, one is KD is how they phrase it. That's your keyword difficulty. Some
Mhm.
other tools call it competition.
Yep. I think
Essentially,
Google still calls it competition, don't they?
I think so. I
Yeah.
have not gone into Google Keyword Planner in forever, so it very well could be different. The thing I like about Ahrefs is it's really granular. It's a scale of 0 to 100. So your keyword difficulty, lower is better. You want the least difficult term you can possibly find because the less competition there is, the less difficult it is to rank, the faster you will rank for it. So we want they do it on a scale of 1 to 100. I try to stay in the under 30. If I can get single digits, I'm doing that. And then there's the volume. And the volume is the monthly search volume. This is how many individual people are typing that specific query into Google. So you can see how this starts to become really powerful. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
like I had someone who went through one of my courses and he was like, I've been saying recurring income. He does memberships and he's like, I teach people how to do memberships so that they can have recurring income. The lingo in the internet space is recurring revenue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know the answer to this question.
Yes.
I literally just went to a conference called the Recurring Revenue Retreat.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds
Oh,
fascinating.
yeah, you should come with me to that one next year. I'll talk to you about it after we wrap.
Yes. Oh, all right. Plans are afoot.
But yeah, like, I can see, like, and that's the thing, I think one thing I think to note here is we are so wrapped up in our own expertise
Mhm.
that it becomes really hard to understand or even have knowledge of how your customers are talking about what you do for them.
Yeah. And that insight is everything, right? The thing about keyword research that I think feels repellent, but is actually should be attractive, is that all of the questions you have about how to speak so that they will hear you and listen,
Mhm.
it lives in the language they use. It's like I call it linguistic mirroring. I don't even know if that's a term, but you know how you like psychologically you can like physically mirror people and it like ingratiates to them to
Yeah,
you. You have like
I've
no like
seen
and
that
trust
in movies
factor.
as, like, a pickup, like, thing too, like,
Yeah.
where guys talk about it as, like, that's how you get a girl interested in you is by mirroring them.
Yes. This is linguistic mirroring, and it's not as long as you're doing it with the intent of, like, showing people that you see them, you see their struggle, you're empathizing with the person on the other side of a screen because all businesses are human to human, whether you're B2B, B2C, your point of contact is another human being,
Right.
and we run on
Nobody's
our
selling to
feelings.
AI. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. AI, oh, man. That's a whole other rat hole.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could get down that rabbit hole so quickly.
But yeah, if you know the language they're using, you just can meet them closer to where they are and build the bridge to bring them in. Roll out that red carpet and be like, listen, this is what I do. This is how I help. Can I help you? Is this something you're interested in? And then you can go from there.
That's awesome. So, like, when somebody's looking, what would you say if they're pulling up their keywords and they're looking at the on Ahrefs, they're looking at the competition score, the keyword, uh oh no, I just lost it, Katie.
Difficulty.
Difficulty. I was like,
Yeah.
not density. Um, I've been around in the SEO world too long because I'm like,
Yes.
oh yeah, keyword density when you wanted to get like right at 3%. Um, that
Yep.
was a thing. I promise that was a thing in 2011.
It
Um,
was. It was. It still is a
so
little bit.
it's
No
still yeah,
keyword
but
stuffing.
not like what we used to do. Um,
White
but
font on a white background at the
oh my
bottom with
yes, exactly, with all
the
the
old
keywords
days.
in there, and then the keyword meta tag.
Yep.
Oh, Lord, oh, the good old days of hacking Google. No, but with the actual, like, you what's a good keyword competition score? Like, what should they be looking for in that range? Like, how do they know that's something that they can actually compete on?
Yeah. It's a sweet science, And a lot of it dovetails with how your domain authority, how, and again, like new website versus one that's
Mhm,
established has backlinks coming in. Um, the more content you've developed that is ranking, I sort of think of it if you're familiar with the Dave Ramsey debt snowball, like start with your smallest one and like gain
mhm,
momentum. I sort of think of it that way. Like if there's something that's the perfect fit, and it's a keyword difficulty of like in the 30s, I might still do it because it is such a good fit. But I know I'm not going to rank for that for a very long time. So that post about books about your life's purpose that I
yeah.
mentioned, the keywords that I targeted were like a 0 and a 1.
Oh, wow, so you're going all the way to the bottom of the scale when you can.
They had pretty good search volumes. Like and I say pretty good, to me, anything north of 100 is good because if you had 100 people looking at your site,
Right, right, that's beneficial.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then there's, like, this Lazarus effect that happens because suddenly you targeted, like, 4 keywords, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna use, like, these iterations of around this particular topic." So, books about your life's purpose, books about to help you name your purpose books, whatever it is, and you go, "Okay, I'm gonna kind of weave all of these in my tapestry of a post that is helpful and just naturally includes that." Suddenly, you look in your keyword tracking and you go, oh my Lord, you can see all these other keywords that are related that you didn't even know were there. They're like rising from the deep, and you're starting to rank for them because Google's linguistically talented. He understands that, variations are close together. And like
mhm.
for that mastermind sales page that I created, there is one keyword that I didn't even know about that's like a keyword difficulty of I wanna say like 45 or 50. It's high. I never would have targeted it, but it has 800 searches a month, and I'm starting to climb. Like, I'm still on the 4th page of Google, so, like, nobody's finding it that way, but I can
Yeah, but
see it
you're seeing good
coming up.
trajectory.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where, like, just pick, just choose, go for low-hanging fruit, build momentum, build networks of posts. This is something that most people miss. You have to interlink your posts. So when you're crafting your content strategy, don't spread yourself wide. Pick a specific vertical, go deep on that vertical, and interlink those posts together natively as you're talking about things that naturally relate. Do that within your post by hyperlinking text
Mhm.
in those posts to correlate to another page on your website, and
And
make sure that you're doing that throughout.
that text that you're linking, that you're highlighting and actually making the link, that should potentially be a keyword or key phrase that works to the page you're trying to get them to go to, right?
Yes, absolutely. And this is where content creators can alley oop one another, right? So if you are having people on your podcast, I'm actually doing a show about this next week with, I don't know if you know Virginia Elder. She's from Podcast Abundance. She's a podcast
Oh, yeah.
producer. She and I are going to talk about SEO for podcasters because this is something a lot of podcasters don't do. They're like, follow Lauren, and then they'll do like Instagram : and like link the Instagram. It's far more beneficial to say Lauren is a digital entrepreneur and highlight digital entrepreneur and point that to my page on my website that is support for digital entrepreneurs. Go to those
We
like deeper links, you know?
Yeah, we actually did that for, a client. They have a bunch of success stories on their website from people that she has helped over the years, and instead of, like, linking just their website or whatever, we took their job title that they wanted to be known as and linked that to their main page because that's probably their keywords.
Yes. Yes. 100%. And that's how we support one another. And so now I like as a podcast guest, I'm going back. I'm going to start generating some content around podcast guesting. And I'm going to be doing that for shows I've been on so that I can be generous with the platform I'm building. And it's a
Of
virtuous
that.
cycle. We can help one another. Guest posting is another way to do that. So I have affiliates for my SEO course. I guest post on their site. They link to my SEO course using their affiliate links. So it's a win-win. Everybody is winning. And as the rising tide lifts all ships, we can all elevate each other's online platforms. And so, but you can't do that if you don't have the core. If you don't have the website
Yeah, the foundation, yeah.
technically strong, that's your domain of expertise, a technically strong website, one that is integrated with the tools that are needed so that Google has visibility to what you do. And
Mhm.
then once you have the research backing, you can really just execute. And the beautiful thing about me, like, I don't check back on my blog posts as often as I ever do on social. And social, I'm just doing for fun. Like I let it go and I'm like, this is going to take off when it takes off, and it will.
Right.
And it'll be down the line and it'll be lovely when that ship arrives. But I'm like sending myself, future me, a love letter of like,
Yeah, it's like
ease is
finding
coming.
$5 in your pocket from the coat from
Yes.
last season.
Yes. Oh, I love that analogy. Can I borrow
I know
that?
it was actually very genius, so, that's copyright.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. All right.
No,
I
I
will
love it, you
credit
can
you.
definitely use it.
I'll give you a good backlink when I do.
I know now I'm like, "Oh, man, what social post can I create around that?" And
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
love it. Well, I know that we need to wrap up,
Mhm.
so how can people follow you, get to where can they find you online, to get to know more about how you can help them or just learn more about SEO and what it can do for their business?
Absolutely. So, I everything that I have lives at laurengaggioli.com. I'm
Which we'll link in
also
today's show notes, so if you guys are like, how do you spell that?" It will be
yeah,
linked.
it's not easy.
It's like trying to write Marisa Van Skyver, it's
Yes,
never gonna happen.
exactly. My husband's uncle used to say when people would ask how it's spelled, just how it sounds. It's like the least helpful answer ever. But yeah, so everything lives there. But if anybody's curious, if they're like, am I part of the 3% of websites that are getting any traffic
Mhm.
whatsoever? I have a DIY website audit where I share a lot of the tools and a lot of the thinking behind everything that we've just talked about. So if you're like,
Awesome.
my brain is buzzing and I need help because it's not linear, then I am happy to support you. laurengaggioli.com/DIY audit. That's
Perfect.
a great place to go get started, and I'll see you in there.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us today. You guys, this was an amazing you might wanna go back and listen again because the amount of just awesome information that Lauren dropped on us in 30 minutes is just astounding. So,
Thank you.
like, I'm gonna go back and re-listen, like, "What have I been missing?" Like,
Yeah.
but
It's
I really
Pareto principle though. Don't get overwhelmed.
oh, no, it's
Just
just
do the next right thing.
yep, it's like a Frozen too.
It's always Frozen.
My nephew is so obsessed with Frozen 2 for a very long time. I've seen that too
Oh,
much.
some things never change.
It's fine. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. And thank you again, Lauren, for joining us.